When dinner time gets near,
You can make it, you can make it.
and your wife has made it clear,
You can make it, you can make it.
it's your turn to cook, my dear.
You can make it, you can make it.
You have no need to fear.
You can make it, you can make it.
Make the dinner feed your spouse, bring peace into your house. You can make it. If you're lucky, she will say,
You will make it, you will make it.
and life will be okay. Life will be okay. You can make it.
Welcome to another episode of You Can Make It. Today we're going to make one of the best comfort foods of all time, beef stew. All you need to make beef stew is about 3 pounds of beef or 750 grams. Now you can use any kind of beef you can find, get the cheapest ones you can. In the old days you used to use cheaper cuts, but they're almost expensive now. So I go to the sale counter and I just look for good lean beef of any kind. 2 carrots, 2 stalks of celery, about a 398 milliliter can of diced tomatoes, a can of condensed beef bouillon, a package of Lipton soup mix, about 2/3 of a cup of barley, a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. We're going to use a cup of red wine. Now you can substitute tomato juice, V8 juice, beer, or even more water for the red wine if you don't like to use wine. And we'll also be using about 500 milliliters of water. That's all you need to make it, so let's get to it. We'll start by cutting up our carrots. Like I say, just give them a good wash and cut the ends off of them because they get a little grungy. And then how big you cut the carrots is really a matter of taste and how big around they are, etc. I like them sort of a medium chop for a stew, not too big, but you want to be able to see them in the stew. After you've chopped up your carrots, you want to do the celery. So just, again, cut it into some nice long strips, but not too small, and cut it kind of chunky. So now you have to cube up your beef. Once again, the size is kind of up to you, but I would encourage you to take off as much of the fat, if you got a layer of fat on it like that, as you can. Don't worry about leaving a bit on. But then just cut it into strips. Some people like 3/4 of an inch size, some people like julienne and a little bit narrower strips. Again, totally up to you. I don't get too bummed out about it. I just like it to be something I can see in my stew. So once they're in strips, just turn it around and cut it into chunks. Again, don't be too worried if they're not uniform or anything. This is beef stew, and it's homemade. Now that we've got everything cut up, we can start putting our stew together and cooking it. If you have a big electric fry pan or Dutch oven, or even a large electric wok, you can use that to do this in, or you can just use a big Dutch oven or saucepan. It doesn't matter as long as it'll hold all your ingredients. What you'll start off by doing is put it over medium heat. I've set this one for about 350. If it's on your stove, use sort of a medium high. Wait till it gets to feel quite hot. And then you're just going to put in a couple tablespoons of oil to give it some flavor. And you're going to start by sweating your vegetables. So we're going to throw the carrots and the celery in. Now normally you'd have onions in a stew, but because we're using the onion soup mix, it already adds a lot of onion flavor. So you're just going to let these cook until they sweat and get just a little soft. Should take about 3-4 minutes. Okay, you see how they just got kind of shiny and the colors come up a little bit, but they're not really soft yet. There's no brown marks on it. That's about the way you want them to be. So just clear a bit of room, move them over to one side like that, and we're going to throw our beef in. Now I'm using a nice big electric fry pan. If you're using a saucepan or something that doesn't let you get the beef all in one layer on it, then you might have to brown the beef in a couple of sessions. But this one takes it all at once, If it's a smaller pot you're using, then do them half at a time. And just stir it around with the vegetables and get those flavors all married up. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this sit for about 3 or 4 minutes with the occasional stir until the beef is brown. So after 5 or 6 minutes, the beef has gotten a nice brown color and sizzling really well. That's the way you want it to be. It's called brown. So now it's time that the beef is brown and we've got it looking really good. We want to add the rest of our ingredients. So we're going to turn the heat down a little bit and we're going to add 2 cups of water. We're going to add a can of condensed beef bouillon or beef broth, a can, about 398 milliliters of diced tomatoes. We're going to add 2/3 of a cup of pearl or pot barley. And before you do this next step, it's really important. We're going to be adding a cup of wine, but normally we take wine internally on You Can Make It just because it's a good thing to do, but you want to make sure there's nothing wrong with the wine, so you take a sip. It tastes fine, but you know, 1 sip's never enough to be sure. Yeah, that wine's fine to go into my stew. You don't want to put any wine in your stew that you wouldn't drink. So, we've got all those in there, and we're now going to add about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And just give it a little stir up. And now that you got it mixed together, we'll throw in the Lipton soup mix. Gives a nice onion flavor and adds some other good seasonings. And that's all the ingredients in your beef stew. Now what you're going to do, after you mix it up, is you're going to turn the heat back up and bring it to a boil. Now that it's come to a boil, and it's got bubbles all over the surface of it, you want to just bring it down, the heat down to medium-low, and you're going to want to let it simmer. We are going to put a lid on it. And we're going to let it simmer for about 1.5 to 2 hours. Now what will happen in that 1.5 to 2 hours is the barley will actually overcook a little bit and thicken up the broth and make it a really wonderful stew. I can hardly wait. So about 1.5 hours has gone by, and how do you tell if stew is ready? Well, it's really easy. You just take the lid off and you make sure you get a little bit piece of meat in with the tasting. Cool down a bit. If the meat's really tender and just melts in your mouth and the seasoning blends just right, you're perfect. If the meat's just right, feel free to add a little bit more salt or some pepper, some more Worcestershire sauce, or any seasonings you like to make it the way you like it. But if you made it with canned soup and the Lipton soup mix, you'll very unlikely you'll need any extra salt. I just like to have a little thought at this point in time. Those of you who are students and don't have a lot of time, or busy mothers or fathers, if you make up a big batch of stew like this and put some in the freezer, it'll cost you way less than those pre-packaged meals that you get, and it'll taste way better. And you can do the same thing with the clam chowder, or you can do it with the chicken soup or anything. Make a big batch, put it in the freezer in single serving sizes, and anytime you want, you can have a meal that's way better than the fast food ones you pick up in the convenience food aisle, and it'll taste better, it'll be better for you, and it'll be way cheaper. So remember, when it comes to something good like beef stew, you can make it.
When dinner time gets here,
You can make it, you can make it.
and your wife has made it clear,
You can make it, you can make it.
it's your turn to cook, my
You
dear.
can make it, you can make it.
You have no need to fear.
You can make it, you can make it.
Make the dinner feast your spouse, bring peace into your house. You can make it. If you're lucky, she will say,
We will make it, we will make it.
and life will be okay. Life will be okay. You can make it.